Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. We like to get into the nitty-gritty here, and today we're diving deep into something especially relevant for all you future data science masters out there, AI agents.
Absolutely.
This field is exploding right now, but we're going beyond the hype to uncover what really matters when you're building agents that actually work in the real world.
Real world applications, that's what we're all about here. And you know what? We've got some fresh research hot off the press.
Oh yeah, analyzing how AI agents are benchmarked and what really makes them successful.
It's like your cheat sheet to navigate those agent papers and get ahead of the curve in your master's program.
For sure. You ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so one of the things that really surprised me, and this challenges some common assumptions, is this idea that more complex agent architectures, they don't always win.
That's right. Sometimes simpler is better.
Like way better.
And cheaper.
One study we dug into found that just blindly maximizing accuracy for these AI agents can lead to insane costs.
You're talking about a difference of almost 2 orders of magnitude.
Yeah, 2 orders of magnitude, like whoa.
That's huge. And it comes down to the fact that AI agents, they often rely on these language models.
Right.
And then the models, they have randomness built in. So you call the model multiple times, you might increase the accuracy.
Uh-huh.
But each call, it comes with a price tag.
Yeah, think of it like running an experiment multiple times.
Right, to get more reliable results.
You want those solid results, but every experiment costs money.
That's the trade-off.
And as data science students, I know we're all about cost efficiency, especially when you're working with limited resources. So how do we find that sweet spot between accuracy and keeping those costs in check?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And the researchers, they dug deep into this. They looked at strategies like retrying a model,
You sure? Okay.
escalating to a more powerful model, but only when you really need it,
I like that.
and thinking about the entire agent pipeline for maximum efficiency.
So it's not just picking the cheapest model, it's optimizing the whole process.
Exactly. Think of it like optimizing your machine learning pipeline.
Oh yeah, we spend hours on that.
Right. Tuning those hyperparameters can make computationally expensive.
But it pays off in the long run.
Exactly.
Big time.
One study we looked at, they took an existing agents framework. It's called DSPy.
DSPy, I've heard of that.
You might come across it in your coursework. They modified it to optimize accuracy and cost at the same time on a question answering benchmark.
Oh, so they're trying to find those shortest but most effective prompts and the smallest set of examples for the model to learn.
You got it. Being lean and mean.
I like it. So what happened? What were the results?
They achieved a 53% reduction in variable cost
Oh,
without sacrificing accuracy.
53%, that's huge.
Huge.
Okay, but for those of us who might be a little rusty on the lingo, what exactly is variable cost when we're talking about AI agents?
Great question. It's the cost that happens every time the agent runs, mostly driven by those input and output tokens.
So it's like the fuel your agent needs for each task.
Perfect analogy.
They optimize the agent's engine to sip that fuel, but still get the job done. That's awesome.
It highlights how important efficiency is when designing these AI agents, and that's directly applicable to your work as data scientists, whether you're building models or designing agents. Efficiency is king.
100%. Okay, so we've talked about the cost of accuracy, efficient design, but there's this other critical piece that can make or break an AI agent. The benchmarks we use to evaluate them. And I'm guessing not all benchmarks are created equal.
Oh, absolutely not. What works great for researchers in their labs might not translate to the real world at all. You could have an agent that aces a benchmark but totally falls apart when you try to use it in a real application.
And that's what we want to avoid, right? We're training to build tools that work in the real world.
Exactly. So you got to navigate those benchmark pitfalls.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, we'll be looking at a case study about the Novel QA benchmark. It shows how misleading some of these benchmarks can be.
Novel QA. Okay, what's the deal with that one?
So Novel QA, it was designed to test language models with long context windows, like how well they understand a whole novel,
You feed the entire books to the model.
the whole thing, and then ask it questions.
Intense.
But in the real world, would you read a whole novel before asking any questions?
I don't think so. You'd read a bit, ask a question, read more.
Exactly.
So this is like studying for an exam by memorizing the entire textbook instead of focusing on what's important.
Exactly. And that read the whole novel first thing, it gets really expensive.
Because every time it processes the whole book to answer a question, it costs money.
You got it.
So even if it gets the right answer, it might not be the best way to get there.
Right. The study compared this to something called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG.
Brag, okay.
It focuses on finding just the relevant parts of the text for each question.
Oh, so RAG is like the smart student who knows where to look for the information.
Precisely. And what did they find? RAG got similar accuracy, but it was over 20 times cheaper.
20 times cheaper. That's insane. So choosing the right approach saves money, and makes their agents more efficient.
It all comes down to benchmarks that reflect how things actually work in the real world.
Makes sense. All right, so we've got to be smart about evaluating costs, picking the right benchmarks. But you mentioned these shortcuts earlier. How do those trip us up?
Just like your data science models, overfitting is a huge problem for AI agents, especially with small benchmarks. Even tiny bits of overfitting can skew the results and make it look like the agent is doing better than it really is.
So it's memorizing the answers instead of actually learning.
Exactly. And then it might perform well on the benchmark, but in the real world.
Total disaster.
Exactly.
Especially when we're talking about solving real-world problems with these agents. So how do we avoid this overfitting trap?
Design those benchmarks carefully to prevent shortcuts. Use holdout sets, data the agent hasn't seen before, to test its true ability to generalize.
So it's like giving a student a test with questions they haven't already seen in class.
Exactly. Test their understanding, not their memorization skills. And the type of holdout set you need depends on what level of generality you're aiming for.
Generality levels. Okay, tell me more about that.
It's all about how adaptable you want your agent to be. Let's say you're building an agent to help with programming. Do you want it to be a Python expert or handle different languages?
Adaptable, for sure. That's what matters in data science. You're using different tools all the time.
Exactly. So these generality levels, they capture that you've got distribution specific, maybe it's great at US grade school math problems.
Okay,
Task specific, maybe it can code in one specific language.
super focused.
Then there's domain general, can it handle a whole domain like programming or web browsing?
I like it.
And the holy grail, fully general, can it handle tasks across multiple domains?
That's like the super intelligent agent we all dream of.
Right, but the point is, the more general you want your agent to be, the tougher your benchmark needs to be. You gotta challenge its ability to adapt.
So no more memorizing the textbook.
Nope, gotta think on its feet.
Got it. Okay, so that's cost, benchmarks, overfitting. But you mentioned the human element earlier. What's that all about?
Ah, yes. We can't forget that these AI agents will often be working alongside humans in the real world. We might give feedback, guide them, or even take over certain tasks.
It's like a data visualization tool, right?
Exactly. The AI might make the charts, but the human analyst interprets them.
So it's not just about how well the agent performs on its own, it's how well it works as part of a team.
Precisely. This is where things get really interesting.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this human-AI partnership.
Well, for a long time. The focus has been on building AI that's like better than us.
Yeah, join us at games, do things faster.
Right. But now researchers are starting to think the real power of AI is in how it can work with us.
Ooh, I like that.
Like not replacing us, but helping us tackle these big, messy problems we couldn't solve on our own.
So it's a partnership.
Exactly. Each side brings something unique to the table.
I'm with you. So with AI agents, what does that look like?
Well, imagine an AI that analyzes mountains of data, but then presents it to a human expert.
Okay, so the AI does the grunt work.
Right. And the human expert uses their knowledge and experience to make sense of it all.
Like having an AI research assistant.
Perfect analogy. It frees up the human to focus on the big picture, the strategy.
I like it. And can it go even further than that?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine an AI that learns from human feedback. It adjusts based on what we tell it.
So it's not just a one-way street. The human is teaching the AI too.
Exactly. It's a two-way conversation. They're both learning and growing together.
That's pretty cool. So this human-in-the-loop learning that's important for making sure AI agents are actually helpful, right?
Absolutely. They need to align with our values, our goals.
It makes me think about those recommendation systems like Netflix or Spotify.
Oh, great example.
The AI suggests stuff, but our feedback helps it understand what we really like.
Exactly. Those thumbs up, thumbs down, they're teaching the AI about your taste.
So the human is shaping how the AI behaves, making it more useful.
100%. It's not just about AI doing tasks on its own. It's about designing them to fit into how we work.
Like a true partnership.
Exactly. And this shift from AI replacing humans to AI partnering with humans, that changes everything.
How we design them, how we test them, how we use them. It's a whole new way of thinking.
And it's super exciting. It opens up so many possibilities for how AI can improve our lives.
Okay, so we're on the same page about this human AI thing, but let's switch gears for a minute.
Sure.
You mentioned earlier some problems with the way AI agents are being evaluated.
Yeah, that reproducibility crisis.
Right, tell me more about that.
Well, one study we looked at, they examined two popular benchmarks, Web Arena and Human Evil.
Okay, I've heard of those.
And they found a whole bunch of issues that raised some serious red flags.
Red flags. Like what?
For one, some of the evaluation scripts, they made assumptions about how the agents were designed.
Uh-oh.
Assumptions that weren't true for all the agents being tested.
So you're saying two agents could be evaluated on the same benchmark, But the tests are actually different.
Exactly. It's a comparing athletes using different scoring systems.
Not fair at all.
Not at all. It makes it really hard to know what the results even mean.
So the evaluations are inconsistent. What else did they find?
Well, another problem was using benchmarks that were originally meant for language models,
Okay.
but then they were repurposed for evaluating these AI agents.
So they're taking a tool designed for one thing and trying to use it for something else.
Yeah, like using a hammer to screw in a nail. You might get it done, but
But it's not going to be pretty.
exactly. And sometimes this led to mismatches. The benchmark wasn't actually testing what the AI agent was supposed to be good at.
That's a pretty big problem.
It is. And then there's the cost issue.
Right, all those calls to the language model.
Exactly. And that high cost, it actually makes it harder to reproduce the results.
Why is that?
Because you need to run a lot of trials to get reliable data.
Makes sense.
But if each trial costs a fortune, you might not be able to do enough. So a lot of studies, they report accuracy scores,
Uh-huh.
but they don't tell you how much those scores might change if they ran it again.
So it's like saying a drug is 90% effective, but not mentioning that in some tests it was only 50%.
Exactly. It's misleading. You need to know how reliable those results actually are.
Especially if you can use these AI agents for something important.
Exactly. And then there's another layer of complexity. These AI agents, they're often interacting with websites, software applications.
Right, the real world is messy.
It is. And all those interactions, they introduce errors, variations. It's like trying to measure a car's speed during rush hour.
There are so many things that can affect the outcome.
Exactly. So getting consistent results, it's really challenging.
So we've got inconsistent evaluations, repurposed benchmarks, the cost issue, and then this whole messy real world thing.
It's a lot to deal with. And to make matters worse, they even found bugs in the code.
You're kidding.
Yep, bugs in the agents themselves and in the scripts is to evaluate them.
So it's like the whole system is flawed. What can we do about it?
Well, the researchers, they're calling for more standardization.
Like clear rules and guidelines.
Exactly. Like what we're seeing with language model benchmarks, they suggest a centralized repository for evaluation scripts, more robust statistical methods, and open sourcing the code.
So anyone can check their work.
Exactly. It's all about transparency.
And this is where data scientists like us come in, right?
Absolutely. Be critical of the benchmarks to see, ask how the evaluations were done, and push for more rigor.
We need to hold these studies to a higher standard.
We do. We need to make sure the AI agents of the future are actually effective and reliable.
Okay, so we've covered efficient design, tricky benchmarks, overfitting, and now this reproducibility crisis. It's a lot to think about.
It is, but there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to talk about.
Okay, lay it on me.
The human element.
Right, we haven't talked much about that yet.
It's fascinating. You know, for so long, AI research was all about building agents that could beat us.
Yeah, beat us at games, automate everything.
Right. But now there's this growing realization that the real potential of AI is in how it can work with us.
Oh, I like that. Like not replacing us, but augmenting us, right?
Exactly. Helping us tackle those problems that are too big, too complex to solve on our own.
So it's more about collaboration than competition.
Absolutely. It's a partnership where each side brings something unique to the table.
Okay, so when we're talking about AI agents, what does that partnership look like? Give me an example.
Sure, imagine an AI agent that analyzes a ton of data, but instead of just spitting out numbers, it presents its findings to a human expert.
Okay, so the AI does the heavy lifting, the data crunching.
Exactly. And then the human expert, they use their knowledge, their judgment to interpret those findings and make informed decisions.
It's like having an AI research assistant.
Perfect analogy. It frees up the human to focus on the big picture, the strategy, the things that require that human touch.
I love it. And can this partnership go even further than that?
Absolutely. Imagine an AI that learns from human feedback. It adapts its behavior, its recommendations, based on what we tell it.
So it's not just a one-way street. The human is teaching the AI too.
Exactly. It's this dynamic interaction, this two-way conversation where both sides are learning and evolving together.
That's pretty mind-blowing. So this human-in-the-loop learning, it's crucial for building AI agents that are actually helpful, right?
Absolutely. It ensures that the AI is aligned with our values, our goals, our preferences. It's not just making decisions in a vacuum.
It makes me think about those recommendation systems like Netflix or Spotify.
Great example.
The AI suggests stuff, but our feedback, those thumbs up, thumbs down, they help it understand what we actually like.
Exactly. It's shaping the AI's understanding of your tastes, making those recommendations more personalized and relevant.
So it's not just about designing agents that can perform tasks. It's about designing agents that can seamlessly integrate into our lives, understand our needs, and collaborate with us to achieve our goals.
Exactly. And this shift from AI as a replacement for humans to AI as a partner for humans, it has profound implications for how we design, evaluate, and deploy AI agents.
It's a whole new paradigm. And it's really exciting. It opens up so many possibilities for how AI can enhance our lives, solve complex problems, and create a better future.
I completely agree. And as data science students, you're entering this field at a pivotal moment. This human AI partnership, it's at the forefront of everything.
So what kind of skills and knowledge do we need to thrive in this new era of collaborative AI? What should we be focusing on as we continue our studies and embark on our careers?
That's a great question. First and foremost, you need a solid understanding of the technical foundations of AI. Machine learning, natural language processing, data visualization, all of that is crucial.
Right, we need that technical base to be able to build these AI agents.
Absolutely, but it's not just about the technical skills, it's also about cultivating a human-centered mindset. Thinking about how AI can empower people, address societal challenges, and enhance our collective well-being.
So considering the ethical implications of AI, designing systems that are fair, transparent, and accountable.
Exactly. And communication and collaboration skills are paramount. You'll be working closely with other data scientists, domain experts, business leaders, and end users.
So being able to explain complex technical concepts to non-technical people, bridging that gap between the world of data and the world of human experience.
Exactly. And finally, never stop learning. The field of AI is constantly evolving. Stay curious, explore new ideas, and embrace the challenge of building a future where humans and AI work together to create something truly remarkable.
That's inspiring. So to wrap up our deep dive today, what are some key takeaways for our listeners as they navigate this exciting world of AI agents?
Remember that efficiency matters. Design with cost in mind and choose benchmarks that reflect real-world usage.
Don't forget about those shortcuts. Overfitting can lead to misleading results, so use holdout sets and rigorous evaluation to make sure your agents can generalize.
Embrace the human element. Design agents that can collaborate with us, learn from our feedback, and enhance our capabilities.
And never stop questioning. Challenge assumptions and push for higher standards in AI research.
It's an incredible time to be involved in this field, and as data science students, you have the power to shape the future of AI, build systems that are intelligent, ethical, human-centered, and truly beneficial to society.
Well said. That's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of AI agents.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Deep Dive.